The rain had been falling since afternoon, turning the city into a glistening maze of wet sidewalks and blurred headlights. By the time Ethan Carter, CEO of Carter Innovations, pulled into his driveway, the sky was a dark velvet cloth stitched with cold raindrops. Normally, he didn't come home this early. His world was usually spreadsheets, boardrooms, and constant pressure, but today something nudged him to return before dinner. He stepped out of his car, loosened his tie, and exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. The mansion before him glowed warmly from the inside, a sharp contrast to the grayness outside. But tonight, something was different. The lights in his daughter Lily's study room were on. Lily never studied alone. She struggled in school, especially with math, and the tutors Ethan hired always seemed to overwhelm her more than help. So when he saw the warm glow coming from that room, he felt a pull of curiosity and concern. Ethan quietly entered the house. The familiar click of his shoes on the polished wooden floor echoed down the hallway, but he slowed down as he approached Lily's door. Something inside made him stop. There were voices, a soft, gentle one, and Lily's small giggle. He pushed the door slightly, careful not to make a sound. His breath caught when he saw the scene inside. Lily sat cross-legged on the rug, her workbook open. But sitting across from her was not the tutor he had hired. Instead, there was a teenage girl, maybe 15 or 16, wearing an oversized hoodie that had clearly once been white but was now stained with life on the streets. Her hair was tucked into a messy ponytail, her jeans were torn at the knees, and her shoes were so worn he could almost see her socks through them. But what struck him most wasn't her appearance. It was the way she was teaching. The girl held a broken pencil, sharpened unevenly with a knife or perhaps a stone, and was explaining a math problem with such patience, such clarity, that Ethan found himself leaning closer. No, don't be scared of fractions, she said, smiling softly at Lily. Just imagine you're cutting a pizza. Fractions are just fancy pizza slices. Lily burst into giggles. Why does my pizza always get eaten before I learn fractions? The girl laughed, a soft, musical sound that carried surprising warmth. Maybe because you're hungry. All geniuses get hungry when they think too hard. Are you calling me a genius? Lily asked with bright eyes. Of course. See. The girl pointed at her workbook. You already got this part right. You just needed someone to show you the trick. Ethan felt something shift inside his chest. He had seen Lily struggle for months. Tutors came and went. None of them ever got her to laugh, let alone understand. But this stranger, this girl with practically nothing, was doing what highly paid professionals couldn't. He stepped fully into the room. Both girls froze. Lily was the first to speak. Daddy, you're home early. The homeless girl's face drained of color. She quickly tried to stand, nearly tripping over her bag, a faded backpack with a broken zipper. She grabbed it tightly, as if afraid it would be taken from her. I'm sorry, she stammered, eyes downcast. I wasn't trying to cause any trouble. I'll leave now. Something about the way she said it, quiet, resigned, made Ethan's heart twist. She spoke as if she was used to doors closing on her. Used to people telling her to go. Used to being unwanted. Lily jumped up and rushed to hold the girl's arm. No, Daddy, don't send her away. She was helping me. Ethan raised a hand gently. It's okay, sweetheart. I just want to understand. The girl swallowed hard. She seemed ready to bolt at any second, like a frightened deer. Up close, Ethan noticed small details he hadn't seen before. The tired shadows under her eyes, the scraped knuckles, the faint tremble in her hands, signs of a life far harsher than any child should experience. What's your name? He asked softly. Arya, she whispered. How did you get here? Ethan continued. She found me, Lily said before Arya could answer. Outside school yesterday, Arya was sitting on the ground, writing in a notebook. Her clothes were wet from the rain. I thought she needed help, so I brought her inside today. She's really smart, Daddy. Smarter than all my tutors. Arya immediately shook her head. She was struggling. I wanted to help. I didn't mean to intrude. Ethan studied her carefully. Her fear wasn't the kind that came from guilt. It was the fear of someone who had been rejected too many times. Arya, he said gently, you're not intruding. You helped my daughter, and for that, I should be thanking you. Arya's eyes widened in disbelief. No one, she murmured. No one ever says that to me. Lily hugged her tightly, as if afraid Ethan might still ask her to leave. Arya didn't hug back immediately. She seemed unsure if she was allowed, but after a few seconds, her tense shoulders softened. Ethan stood there quietly, watching the two girls. And in that moment, he realized something he had forgotten. Compassion wasn't measured in money or status. Sometimes, the greatest teachers came from the most unexpected places. And this girl, this homeless teenager with a broken pencil and a brilliant mind, had just done something extraordinary. She had brought joy back into his daughter's eyes. And Ethan Carter was determined to find out why, and how he could help her in return. Here is part 2 expanded into 800 words, continuing smoothly from the previous section. Part 2. A Heartbreaking Truth, 800 words. Ethan guided the two girls toward the small seating area near the window. The rain tapped gently against the glass, creating a soft, rhythmic backdrop as he tried to gather his thoughts. Arya stood stiffly at the edge of the carpet, her backpack clutched to her chest like a shield. Lily plopped onto the couch and motioned eagerly. Come sit. Daddy won't bite. Arya forced a tiny smile but didn't move. Ethan noticed. Please, he said kindly, gesturing to the armchair opposite him. You're safe here. Slowly, almost cautiously, Arya walked toward the chair and sat, making sure to leave as little weight on it as possible, as if fearing she might break something that wasn't hers. Ethan leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Arya, I want to understand how you came here. Lily told me she found you near the school. Arya nodded, her fingers picking at the torn strap of her bag. I was just doing homework. Homework, Ethan repeated, surprised. Do you still attend school? Arya shook her head. No, not officially. I was dropped from enrollment 3 months ago. Attendance issues. Why weren't you attending? Ethan asked softly. The girl's eyes flickered with pain. She hesitated, then lowered her gaze to her worn-out shoes. Because I didn't have a home, she whispered. Or food, or anything to wear except this. Lily gasped, covering her mouth. You didn't have a home. Arya's voice was barely audible. I still don't. Ethan felt a sting behind his ribs, an ache he couldn't ignore. He had spent years providing financial stability for thousands of employees. Yet here was a child, sitting shivering in his house, who had slipped through every system meant to protect her. Where do you stay now? He asked quietly. Arya exhaled shakily. A shelter on 3rd Street. But it closes during the day, so I walk around. Sometimes I sit behind the school because it's quiet. And I can listen to lessons through the open windows. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. I love learning. Even if I'm not allowed inside. Lily blinked. You listen to class from outside. In the cold. Arya nodded. It's not so bad. I got used to it. But Ethan couldn't get used to hearing this. His jaw tightened. He had driven past that very street many times on the way to work, never imagining a child, someone with bright eyes and such a sharp mind, was struggling to survive there. And your parents? He asked gently. Arya looked away, staring at the rain sliding down the window. A long silence filled the room. I don't know where they are, she finally said. My mom left when I was 9. My dad, he worked odd jobs. Sometimes he'd disappear for days. One day he just didn't come back. Her voice cracked. I waited for weeks. But he never came. Lily got up and walked to Arya, placing a small hand on her arm. Arya flinched at first, but then relaxed. I'm sorry, Lily whispered. Arya nodded without looking up. Ethan swallowed. This wasn't just hardship. It was abandonment, fear, and loneliness carved into a teenager's soul. And yet, despite everything, she was here, helping his daughter. What about the notebook Lily mentioned? Ethan asked. She said you were writing when she first saw you. Arya blinked rapidly, wiping her cheek with the back of her sleeve. She unzipped her backpack and pulled out a faded, water-stained notebook held together with tape. I study on my own, she said. Math, science, whatever books I find in the school dumpster. You study alone? Ethan asked. Arya nodded. If I stop learning, I'll lose myself. Studying makes me feel like maybe I still have a future. Maybe I can become someone. Lily stared at her in awe. You're already someone. Arya let out a trembling exhale. Ethan felt something stir inside him, anger at the world that had abandoned this girl, and admiration for the strength she carried despite it all. He looked at her again, really seeing her this time. The bruises weren't just physical. They were the invisible ones, the wounds left by years of neglect. Yet she remained gentle, intelligent, kind. "How long have you been helping my daughter?" he asked. "Just today," Arya replied quickly. "She found me sitting behind the school again. She asked if I knew fractions. I said yes. She asked if I could help. I didn't mean to overstep. I just wanted to repay her kindness." "Kindness," Ethan echoed. Arya nodded, eyes glistening. "She's the first person in a long time who looked at me like I wasn't invisible." Lily wrapped her arms around Arya again. "You're my friend. Why would you be invisible?" This time, Arya hugged her back without hesitation. Ethan's throat tightened. How could a child with so little give so much? He cleared his voice. "Arya, you don't have to be afraid. You helped Lily in a way no one else has. And you told the truth, even though you were scared." Arya looked up slowly. "I just didn't want to cause trouble," she said. "You haven't," Ethan said firmly. "And you won't. You're safe here." A single tear slipped down Arya's cheek. For the first time since entering the house, she allowed herself to believe it.